Thank you, co-chairs, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. It was great to hear my colleagues, Mr. Manservi and Mr. Onwami speaking, and I listened very carefully to both of their presentations. In fact, the end of my colleague from Adaya's discussion about the importance of prevention. I'll tell some impact stories that are helping in this fight against prevention and also what we're doing within the IIJ. The IIJ is a key partner to the GCTF mission. I've listened to many ministerials over the last several years, and I really found it encouraging to hear how many of the statements reflected back on the central role that the GCTF-inspired institutions are playing, and I think this is an important outcome of what we've discussed over the last couple of years with the strategic review. Our mandate is clear, supporting the implementation of the GCTF good practices through the design and delivery of impactful capacity building for criminal justice practitioners in our shared geographic focus area, knowing that the criminal justice role is at the beginning of many of the activities to really get to the core of some of the actions going on in the counterterrorism world. Today, I'll focus on the impact of that mission, drawing on the experience of our 7,000 alumni, who we now call ambassadors for the GCTF and rule of law compliant counterterrorism. In fact, the IIJ core initiatives and work streams build on practitioner capacity building and emerging counterterrorism challenges, and we're, like many of the other speakers, following the emerging changes. One of these initiatives, which is central to a lot of the work also with our colleagues in the UN, is Global Central Authorities, which support implementation of the Rabat Memoranda, the UN Global Counterterrorism Strategy, and many Security Council resolutions by strengthening the engines of international judicial cooperation, which are so vital to the fight in terrorism. During a series of regional workshops, the IIJ identified, in concert with our practitioners, listening to the outcomes and the metrics and the monitoring and evaluation of our work, an urgent priority, which was the harmonization of the processing of inbound and outbound mutual legal assistance and extradition requests. There was a lot of awareness going on, a lot of awareness raising, but now how do we harmonize all this activity into a practical outcome that has impact within the region? With support from the United States, the IIJ partnered with Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda to produce the East Africa Regional MLA Guidelines, Mutual Legal Assistance Guidelines. Tanzania has already formally adopted the guidelines, and Uganda will soon follow. I just wrote a letter to the Tanzanian government Minister of Justice, thanking them for this effort. Both countries are now proactively taking the next steps. Tanzania has taken the lead in drafting an operational manual based on the IIJ guidelines for its new practitioners. And at Uganda's request, the IIJ is supporting practitioners now at the national level. With the support from the UK Central Authority, the IIJ then has now worked in Cameroon, in the English-speaking area, the Gambia, Ghana, and Nigeria to develop the West Africa Regional Guidelines. This was followed by bilateral work with Gambia, Ghana, and Nigeria. I would just also take note, East and West Africa align, as I mentioned yesterday, in the coordinating committee meeting with two of the GCTF working groups where we see our work dovetailing. So now we have real impact and momentum in two creations. But we're not stopping there. We're partnering with the International Conference of the Great Lakes and the UN Office of the Special Envoy for the Great Lakes to further expand the scope and standardized guidelines to all Great Lakes member states. And in the coming year, we will then work with practitioners in the MENA region and French-speaking West African countries as we expand upon turning what we learned from the monitoring and evaluation and listening to our partners and practitioners. What do they want us to do next within our work in the IIJ? This is capacity building with sustainable impact. Now let me share a short story from our online counterterrorism academic curriculum. I mentioned yesterday, we call this ECTAC. It's our new foundational 2-week courses that really get into the core work of building long-term training for the practitioners in our region. Mr. Lafama Prosper Tiabayani is the prosecutor of Faso, a large region and province in Burkina Faso, west of the capital. Prosper is the key point of contact for all terrorism-related prosecutorial cases in his jurisdiction. In December, he successfully completed, of last year, our Francophone EC-Tech course on proactive investigations and prosecutions, so almost a year ago. He described the experience, and these are his words, as intensive and successfully putting the practitioners back in the center of what they should be doing in proactive investigations. He said the IIJ course was a breakthrough for him in taking what were normally lecture classes and turning them into practical hands-on lessons learned in terms of online training that would not otherwise have been held during the global pandemic. Prosper is already implementing the skills he learned. He turned what he had learned on evidence gathering and the importance of procedural safeguards and compliance with human rights into a number of successful investigations in Burkina Faso, under his authority. Success that he directly attributes to the GCTF and one of its inspired institutions. IIJ alumni leave our courses and workshops empowered, and as I said, they are really ambassadors for human rights and the rule of law compliant counterterrorism that we all seek to have. Prosper, like so many of our alumni, is paying forward what he has learned. He has shared techniques and good practices with his colleagues. He is advocating for the rule of law and protection of human rights and effected change at the interagency level in Burkina Faso to improve coordination between investigators and the public prosecution officer. Prosper is the GCTF mission in action. The impact would not be possible without the vision, commitment, and support of our donors, whether through institutional grants, supporting our new academic curriculum, along with the research agenda, where we would like to now use our alumni to tell the story of what's really happening in these regions from their perspective. And then funding for our core initiatives, as example was mentioned earlier by several of the speakers, the importance of addressing racially and ethnically motivated violent extremism. Visit our new website to hear more from our alumni. We are now posting their stories about how they are being impacted by the work of the GCTF and how you can partner with the GCTF good practices. I know I'm the last speaker. I appreciate everybody listening. I want to sincerely thank the co-chairs, Canada and Morocco, and all the other speakers for their support to the GCTF inspired institution, the IIJ. Thank you very much.